Chris Paul returns to LA Clippers for 21st NBA season. Full story and analysis. Imagine a legendary point guard with a career spanning over 2 decades, making a shocking return to a team that was once his home. This is exactly what's happening with Chris Paul, who has just agreed to a deal with the LA Clippers for his highly anticipated 21st NBA season. But here's where it gets interesting. Paul, now 40 years old, had multiple suitors lined up, including the Milwaukee Bucks, Charlotte Hornets, and Dallas Mavericks, all eager to secure his services. However, he chose the Clippers, a team he has a rich history with, having played for them from 2011 to 2017. During his previous stint with the Clippers, Paul was a 5-time All-Star and was selected to 5 All-NBA teams, the most in franchise history. He also holds the record for the most assists in Clippers history, with an impressive 4,023. As Lawrence Frank, the president of basketball operations, put it, Chris is one of the most impactful players ever to wear a Clippers uniform, and it's appropriate that he returns to the team for this chapter of his career. But what does this move mean for the Clippers, and how will Paul fit into their lineup? The team has been busy this offseason, adding shooting guard Bradley Beal, power forward John Collins, and center Brook Lopez to their roster. They were on the hunt for a reserve point guard, and after considering Malcolm Brogdon, they decided to go with Paul. And this is the part most people miss. The Clippers have created salary cap flexibility, which will allow them to be opportunistic in the next 2 summers and potentially go after big-name stars. Paul will be joining the team as a reserve point guard, and as Frank noted, he wants to be part of the group, and we're fortunate to have him back. Last season, Paul played all 82 games for the San Antonio Spurs, becoming the first player to achieve this feat in his 20th season or later. The Clippers are looking to preserve James Harden, who played nearly 2,800 minutes last season at the age of 35, and view Paul as insurance against injuries that can impact a roster during an 82-game season and the playoffs. As Frank emphasized, role awareness, especially in this next roster spot, will be critical. Paul's career is nothing short of remarkable, with 12,499 assists and 2,717 steals, making him second all-time in both categories. But here's the question. What do you think about Paul's return to the Clippers? Do you think he still has what it takes to make a significant impact on the team? Or is this a nostalgic move that won't pay off? Let us know in the comments. And this is where it gets controversial. Some might argue that the Clippers are taking a risk by signing a 40-year-old point guard, while others will see it as a genius move that will bring a wealth of experience and leadership to the team. Whatever your opinion, one thing is certain. Chris Paul's return to the Clippers is a story that will be closely watched, and we can't wait to see how it unfolds. Chris Paul returns to LA Clippers, analyzing the 2025 deal and impact. The NBA just got a whole lot more interesting. Chris Paul is heading back to the Los Angeles Clippers. After a storied 20-year career, the 40-year-old legend has agreed to a 1-year, $3.6 million deal. Returning to the team, he led to 6 consecutive playoff appearances from 2011 to 2017. But here's where it gets fascinating. Paul isn't just a nostalgic signing. He's a strategic move to supercharge the Clippers' title hunt. Fresh from playing all 82 games with the San Antonio Spurs last season, a feat no NBA player his age has ever achieved, Paul brings grit and consistency. His 8.8 points and 7.4 assists per game may not dazzle like his prime, but his mastery of ball control and playmaking is unmatched. As Clippers president Lawrence Frank noted, Chris will fortify our backcourt with his exceptional skills, and his return is being hailed as a full-circle moment for the franchise's Lob City era alongside Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan. But why now? Paul's desire to play near his LA-based family aligns perfectly with the Clippers' need for depth. With a roster stacked with James Harden, Bradley Beal, and Kawhi Leonard, Paul will come off the bench, a role he's embracing to fill whatever gap Coach Tyronn Lue needs. The move is also a hedge against injury. Harden logged nearly 2,800 minutes last season, and Paul's insurance could be critical in the playoffs. This isn't Paul's first rodeo with controversy, though. He left the Clippers in 2017 to chase a championship with Houston, sparking debate about loyalty versus ambition. Now, skeptics might ask, can a 40-year-old point guard truly impact a championship team? Proponents argue his IQ and clutch gene are ageless. As the second all-time in assists and steals, Paul's signing raises a bigger question. In an NBA obsessed with youth, do veterans like Paul still hold the key to glory? The Clippers are betting yes. With Paul joining a veteran-heavy squad, the experiment blends old-school savvy with new talent. Love it or hate it, one thing's certain. The Western Conference just got a lot more intriguing. So, Clippers fans, is this the missing piece or a nostalgic gamble? Sound off. Chris Paul returns to Clippers. How the team mastered offseason moves. The Los Angeles Clippers are making headlines this offseason, and the return of Chris Paul is a significant part of their strategy. After a successful 2025 offseason, the Clippers have demonstrated exceptional management skills, which have gone largely unnoticed until now. When the Clippers initially acquired stars Kawhi Leonard and James Harden, many skeptics, including myself, believed they were merely trying to keep a failing team afloat long enough to open their new arena. This was especially true after they let Paul George leave for Philadelphia. However, as fate would have it, Leonard regained his health, and Harden earned All-NBA honors, allowing the Clippers to rebuild their roster into a formidable contender through a focus on depth and defense. Currently, the Clippers are committed to Leonard and Harden until 2027, at which point they will have the opportunity to clear their salary cap and embark on a new chapter. In the meantime, they are strategically positioning themselves to make the most of their current roster, which had begun to seem like a troubled venture. One of the smartest moves they made was avoiding overpaying George, unlike the Philadelphia 76ers. Many argued that if the Clippers were willing to invest in Harden and Leonard, they should also fully commit to George. However, the Clippers had a secret weapon. Norman Powell was ready to step up, not just to fill George's shoes but to surpass him. Powell's impressive performance last season has put him in line for a significant pay increase as an unrestricted free agent next summer. To prepare for a clean slate in 2027, the Clippers traded him to the Miami Heat in a three-team deal that brought back John Collins, who was on an expiring contract. Collins could turn out to be one of the most underrated acquisitions of the summer. Still, losing Powell initially seemed like a setback for the Clippers, until they signed Bradley Beal to a 2-year, $11 million deal. While Beal may not be as effective as Powell at this stage, he offers a cost-effective alternative. If he can commit to defense, which is crucial for any player not named Harden on this team, he could prove to be one of the best bargains of the offseason. How did the Clippers manage to sign Brook Lopez while remaining under the luxury tax threshold, thus allowing them to utilize the full mid-level exception for Beal? The answer lies in Harden's willingness to accept a reduced contract, $81.5 million over 2 years, with the second year not fully guaranteed. Clippers president Lawrence Frank explained, "Without James, we can't even get Brad Beal, because we wouldn't have use of the full MLE. So that allowed us to get Brook, Lopez, and Brad because of the way James Harden structured his contract. Additionally, the way he structured his contract in year 2 gives us flexibility that if we want to have max space, we can choose to do so. He's been great in that sense," Frank continued. He's also been proactive. When word got out that Brad might get a buyout from Phoenix, and we were allowed to talk to him, James was the first to say, "Let me call him." He's willing to do anything. All James cares about is winning. Hats off to Harden for his team-friendly deal in Philadelphia, which allowed the Sixers to sign P.J. Tucker, even though he felt he wasn't adequately rewarded in his next contract. While Harden has earned a substantial amount throughout his career, let's not get carried away with the idea of him being a philanthropist on an $81.5 million contract. He could have easily opted out of taking another pay cut, but he chose to prioritize the team's chances of success. If Leonard can maintain his health, the additions of Beal and Lopez significantly enhance the Clippers' competitiveness. Regardless of how this season unfolds, the Clippers deserve recognition for their strategic approach. They let Powell go, fully aware that they were likely to acquire Beal, and they also secured Collins in the process. Collins, who had been overlooked with the Jazz, averaged just under 20 points and 8 rebounds per game last season, shooting an impressive 53% from the field, 40% from three-point range, and 85% from the free throw line. With Harden as his playmaker, Collins will have the best pick-and-roll partner since Trae Young. On a team featuring 2 All-NBA players and another All-Star caliber player in Ivica Zubac, he won't be burdened with the expectations he faced in Atlanta when he was considered an all-star candidate. While Collins may not be Aaron Gordon, there are parallels to be drawn. Look at how Gordon thrived after transitioning from a primary scorer in Orlando to a key role player in Denver. At the very least, Collins and Lopez provide the Clippers with enviable frontcourt depth in a league that increasingly values size. Now, Chris Paul is back, having played all 82 games for the Spurs last season and ranking among the top 10 in assists with an average of 7.4 per game. Although he may not be the player he once was as he enters his 21st season, he is still a valuable asset at $3.6 million for 1 year, much like Beal at $5.5 million. Lopez, too, transitions from a declining starting center to a significant bench contributor at $18 million over 2 seasons. Imagine adding Beal, Paul, and Lopez for a total of $18 million in year 1 salaries. Regardless of their current career stages, that's a remarkable achievement. It's important to note that if the Clippers rely on Paul and Lopez to lead their offense as starters, they may face challenges. However, if they can utilize them against second units, they will be in a strong position. It's crucial to recognize that this situation remains precarious. The success of this roster hinges on Leonard's health and whether Harden can perform consistently in the playoffs. The team is aging, and the Western Conference is fiercely competitive. Yet, considering where they stood after George's departure and the uncertainty surrounding Leonard's health and Harden's performance, the Clippers have positioned themselves remarkably well with a deep roster capable of competing against the league's elite.